And I'd like to give my statement of support to our colleague from the 4th District's resolution number 27. I support declaring racism a public health crisis. When my husband suffered a stroke, I didn't think for even a minute about our ability to get adequate, appropriate health care for him.
Can we have order in the chamber, please? Senator, you may proceed.
Thank you. When he had his stroke, I did not think for even a minute whether we would get appropriate and adequate health care for him. I didn't think about his symptoms being dismissed by doctors or nurses, or that he wouldn't get proper care, or that someone might just give him a pain pill and tell him to go home, which would have killed him. When he was sent home, I went to the drugstore to pick up his medicine. I didn't have to think about the looks I'd receive, about why I was there, or worry about someone following me around to see what I was doing. Whether we realize it or not, these everyday thoughts and actions, the many, many things that we do every day without even thinking about it, this is white privilege. This is part of why I'm standing here in strong support of declaring racism a public health crisis. Last week, in fact, the Michigan Primary Care Association issued a statement acknowledging that racism is a public health crisis. In it, they said, and I quote, "The racism at the root of police violence against Black people is the same racism at the root of many health inequities people of color face, and that our health centers see reflected in their patients every day." It's tragic that we have gotten to the year 2020 and are still having to talk about systemic racism as though the civil rights era never happened. As Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote, "An America that looks away is ignoring not just the sins of the past, but the sins of the present and the certain sins of the future." My colleagues, Black and brown Americans are asking us, asking white people particularly, to reflect on the murders, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tamir Rice, and others, to stop looking away, to stop ignoring the sins of the past and the present, to reflect and show our force of character, have these difficult conversations amongst our friends and family. Black people don't need us to talk to them about racism. We, white people, need to have this conversation. I ran for office because I believe in acting on and addressing real problems, and I believe that together we can make this difference. So to all of my colleagues who have spoken so eloquently about systemic racism over the last few weeks, I hear you, I see you. You have my commitment to do whatever is necessary and just so that we can build a better tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like my remarks printed in the journal.